Hi, this is Dave and Jim with today's One Rep Constructive Conversation. Let's get into today's subject. Okay, so if you get everybody to buy in, that in a way, in my mind, how I would term that is it reduces the ripple effect.
Absolutely.
That's how I interpret that.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. Certainly, when, just like in every situation you're in life, when things start to go negative, that ball starts rolling in that direction, and it's very hard to recover, unless, of course, there's an appreciation for the end result and the mechanisms it's going to take to get there. So you can go down a dark rabbit hole in these contractual arrangements and relationships with your design professionals and your contractors if there isn't an collective appreciation for the end.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so back to the original question.
Yeah.
The industry seems in a way kind of tilted towards not minding the chaos, because that's going to wind up making them more money, because time is money, and anything that's delayed because there hasn't been good communication then makes the project delayed, which is a little bit more money. Is that unfair?
Well, it's to your point, is it baked into the industry? Yes. So when if that's just the way it's been, that's what you recognize as your source of revenue.
Right.
Whereas you can have just as much success if you understand working together as a team can be just as profitable. And that's the secret to One Rep, is building that team so that our team members recognize that it isn't through change orders, it's through collaboration and appreciation and understanding of the objectives.
All right, and I know I had said last question, which is obviously a lie earlier in this video, but I will say, in your experience doing all these YMCA projects, both large and small, have you found that there are some, other entities, whether it's the general contractor or architects or any of those ones I mentioned before, that really adopt that philosophy? And are there some that haven't, and are there some that have said they have but haven't? And then going into this, a YMCA looking at this project, like, is there a way to know who's really gonna get on board and not? And how do you do that as an ownership? Like, how do you? I mean, it could be a general answer, but I mean, how do you actually figure that out?
Well, you do research, extensive research with your potential team members, and you isolate the solicitation of those potential team members to candidates,
right,
that have demonstrated in other experiences that willingness to partner with their clientele. And they've demonstrated that through their resume and reaching out to their clients, their past clients, and getting from their experiences specific to the projects that they've worked on together. It's in my experience, it's not difficult to tell if we have a potential team member or if we have somebody that's interested in building those silos and anchoring in to make for the fight.
Right.
And it doesn't take much to recognize the differences long before we've even reached out to those candidates to ask them if they're interested in a project.
Right.
Right. We want a legitimate summary of candidates, both professionals and contractors, that have demonstrated in their past an experience and experiences to want to work with their clients. Not hard to recognize that.
And I assume that means that's best done by somebody, as good as CEOs and board members and everybody else are, that has lived in that world and speaks all those languages. You understand how the electrician is going to integrate in, and how the HVAC guy with the AC units is going to integrate in, and how the plumber with all his things are going to finishes, all of it. I mean, if you don't understand how all those things integrate, and you can't ask the questions to figure out from that point of view who's going to be good on the team, and do the research based on that, I would think it would be fairly difficult to put that kind of a team together.
It would be, and not only that, but you also have the dynamic of partners that you have within your YMCA organization that have offered contributions and donations in the past that feel that they are have the first right of refusal, if you will.
Right.
And sometimes that's not in the best interest of the project and or the YMCA.
Right.
You have to sift through those resumes of those partners, and also, yes, it does take a bit of time to look outside the community to find that team that's best suited for the project at hand. There may be an electrician that is, for example, that has excellent experience working in schools and or hospitals, but not YMCAs. YMCAs are a completely different type of project, particularly if you're going to remain occupied and your membership is working, capitalizing on the space while it's being renovated. You need to have to find those team members that have worked in those dynamic environments before. So yeah, you have to do your research, and do you as a CEO find yourself time to do that research?
Right.
And the answer is more than likely no. You take the directive from the person at the table, which is oftentimes your professionals who are going to make recommendations as to who should be solicited. That's the extent of your research as a CEO oftentimes. And unfortunately, the architects sometimes don't see the whole picture.
Right.
Because that's not their responsibility. It's just a friend of the family. They think will do a great job.
Right.
We need to sift through that data that comes from going online or interviewing these potential contractors, which we do extensively to ensure that when we do send out these RFPs, requests for proposals, we're sending them to potential team members.
Right.
That's what we need. We need a team to work with the YMCA to capitalize on your investment.
All right, well, let's sum all this up. I'm making a summary statement, and you tell me if you think it's right or wrong, or add anything you want to it. So,
Yep.
The industry is a bit tilted towards not necessarily making the most efficient and non-chaos inducting process for YMCA capital projects, or anybody's capital projects for that matter. But there is a tried and true method that can be used to minimize that greatly. Agree?
Agreed.
Well, that's our One Rep constructive conversation for today. Thanks for watching. One Rep, we want to bring what we've learned in Pennsylvania to the whole rest of the country. We've had extensive experience doing YMCA capital projects here over the last 25 years, and we've had great success minimizing changes that YMCAs have had to make, compromises. We're minimizing the compromises that YMCAs have to make. And part of that, of course, is we want to minimize the unnecessary charges, and what that winds up being a lot of times is an increase in the mortgage amount, right? The debt load. And we want to make sure your Y is successful and your project is successful. So if you'd like more information about One Rep, you could visit us on our website. We have a Facebook page. We're on LinkedIn. Please give Jim or I a call anytime. We're happy to come out to your Y and talk to you about your project, or have a free Zoom consultation to talk about your project. Thanks for watching again, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.